every time that I come back into this and I start hitting this again and I start approaching a lot, over the course of literally a year and a half, usually, I come back to the same conclusion time and time again. It's not about the words of the opener. It's about the mannerisms. It's about the mentality. It's the action. It's the ego. They're both a huge factor in this. So what are they? Eye contact, pauses, smile, and I mean a smile that's authentic, really feeling that energy. Slow languid movements with decisive energy. Don't be back and forth with your emotions. Don't supplicate. Don't be repressed. It's this myriad of different things. And eventually I will make a video about this, but it always comes down to the mannerisms. If you guys want to know what I'm talking about with this, look at anybody that's considered attractive to girls. Matthew McConaughey, Brad Pitt, look at Billy from Stranger Things, look at Tom Cruise. These guys, they move in a way that's different than, let's say, a Zach Galifianakis. They move differently than you do, to be fair. They move differently than I used to. And I'm still moving towards it, I'm still improving it, and I will get better as the time goes on. I will improve in this field. But if you want to know what I'm talking about, look at the differences between both these guys. Or you can wait till I decide to make a video about it or turn it into a product. You guys just let me know. Now, with that being said, I'm going to stop harping on you guys and I'll give you guys what you want. Yes, openers do matter to an extent, but the same thing with the techniques, they're not that big a deal. But let's do it anyways. So first and foremost, silent. Now I put it off in its own category because it's not actually even necessarily like, how do I put it? Even used for technique or to get certain response from a girl. It's mainly used as almost like a like a stylistic dunk. It's not necessarily effective windmill dunking, but it looks cool. So it's anybody that usually does this silence approach, it usually shows a good amount of either state or talent, or both, to be fair. Silent openers are difficult, especially when you're not in the zone. And it's just, it's coming back to the mannerisms, the way you move. If you pull off the silent opener, you have the mannerisms down. That's what matters. You have the fundamentals down, you have the mannerisms down, you have all this energy, the proper things, the belief that this is going to work out, the positive assumptions, and it works. So it's not really necessarily quote, end quote, effective, but it's not supposed to be. The people that always did it were meant to do it like in a way that is just more of showing off. So that being said, let's get into the first one. Choosing signals. This is something that I heard pop up recently. And all of you bitches that do this shit, you guys are self-lying or you're really new. And I know way too many coaches that keep trying to push this choosing signal thing. Do not wait for choosing signals. Yes, if you see one, definitely approach. Don't backwards rationalize not doing it because I know I gotta wait for a girl that doesn't look like she likes me. Definitely approach her, but if you're only waiting for choosing signals, you're gonna be waiting for a very long time. Girls are meant to hide that stuff. They're not meant to be authentic with it. Not to mention too, you convince the girl to like you. You convince her to like you with your mannerisms, the way you speak, your tone, the way you act, your freedom of outcome, all this stuff, your masculinity, believing in your value in comparison to the girl, believing that you're worthy, not just worthy of her, but even out of her league. That's different. That's what makes a set work. You can approach a girl and maybe leading up to the approach, she maybe even was disgusted with you, but the second you start speaking, the second you start moving, the second you start giving her a cocky look, that's when it switched up. That's when it's changed. That's when she started liking you. Now she'll backwards rationalize she liked you all along. They'll make an emotional decision. They'll back up the logic with it after the fact. So they'll make the emotional decision and they'll back up and find the logical reasons for why they made the decision when all along it was emotional. When all along they had no fucking idea what they were thinking. The same way that we do. You'll actually catch yourself doing this. When you decide not to approach a girl because her elbows are too pointy, because she's walking fast, all these make an emotional decision and then you're finding the rationalizations after you made the emotional decision of not wanting to get rejected. Catcalling. Now this again comes from the misunderstanding that girls care so much about looks. You guys are thinking, well, to be fair, it's actually kind of empathetic, but it's also a little bit bitchy in a roundabout way. So what guys think when they do this is that, well, if I was in her shoes and some guy that I found attractive said that, then it'd be an in for me to go up and talk to him. But number two, it's actually that you're hiding your ego and you're not putting your real self on the line. You aren't being serious. So if the girl rejects you, it was a joke. And the girls know this. They know you're half stepping. They know you're not punching through the wall. And because you're treating them like an object, because you're treating them like a non-entity, like you're more an object. Again, I hate using feminist terminology because I'm not obviously the furthest away from loving that sect. But when it comes down to it, the other openers are way better. Unless you're coming through being self-amused with catcalling, again, the mannerisms, all that kind of stuff. It's just, it's beyond worse. It's beyond bad. Don't do it. Opinion. Now, I know some of you guys click on this video to just disagree in general, and we're all addicted to negative emotions. I get it. That's what the algorithms are running. We're all into our anger porn in different ways. I'll put it this way. We'll get into this in a second. There's actually two forms of this I like. This is the version I don't like. This is the opinion opener that was described by Mystery. If you do it the same way that he says to do it, it's a bad strategy. If you walk up and do an opinion like, hey, how's it going? And do it completely indirect with no forward energy, no undertone of what's going on, of course it's not going to work. You can approach, but there's other things that play a part in this working out. And again, I'll get into it and I'll explain a little bit better. But if you're doing it flat and you're doing it with no sexuality whatsoever, what happens is that the girl's going to think you're being a bitch. Because you're going to try to use an opinion opener, and then all of a sudden you're going to whip out and show her that you have a dick. All of a sudden you're a man. She's like, wait, what? I thought you were just asking me for direction. I thought you were asking for directions. David Bowie on your wall? Like, do people like David Bowie? What the fuck is this? No, don't ask that. Situational. Situational is kind of nice. It's something coming across a lot more authentic, and then you can roll into the conversation. Again, it's an okay strategy. It's okay, and it actually does work, and I do this a lot. This one right here I like. And I may even go back to the opinion and explain it a little bit further for you guys, because I know you guys are very opinionated about your opinion openers. But this one's nice. It's a good way to just roll in and not put a lot of pressure on the girl. And the girl can take longer to feel out your personality. Observational. Now, as I understand it, there's a difference between the two of these. The observational is where you make an observation about her, and that's your open. There's a way of doing it in a witty way that could work. I'd never really do observational openers too much. I used to, but I do have negative anchors to it because I do come from, because when I did that, my game wasn't nearly as good as it is now. And so I think it's just because I've had bad reps doing it because I didn't have the right mannerisms. But in all actuality, I don't think it'd be a terrible strategy, honestly. Direct. Now, this is getting into like the ones where I am a big fan of. Now, direct is my bread and butter. If I'm out of it, there has to be premise. There has to be premise on some level. You know how? She has to know that you're a man. She has to know that you have a dick. She has to know that you are a sexual threat. Otherwise, on some level, like which I'll put it this way, sometimes too much direct is just too much. You still need to be on your heels on some level with this. You still need to be, so you can go direct and still be on your heels. Just because she's attractive does not mean you already decided you want to go home with her. It means that you walk to a Sears electronics store and you're looking at all these TVs. Are you just going to grab the first one you see, take it off the shelf, and walk it to the front and buy it? No. You're going to check the specs, see what kind of TV it is, LED, plasma, the size. You're going to see, does it look good on my wall? Do I like the bezel? You're not just going to take any TV home. So when you walk up to a girl, you're a man of abundance. You already get hot girls. But this girl is your type, so you're willing to entertain her and feel her out. Maybe mess around with her. Maybe have just a fun conversation. Just a wild, fun conversation. So even if you don't end up liking her in that way, you still can make it fun for yourself. That's what I like about direct. It's, and I'll put it this way, when you're out of it and you don't really feel like approaching. So if you guys do any of these other approaches below and you don't feel in a good headspace or in the zone, it won't work. It won't work. You're just not in the right headspace. You won't have the right mannerisms unless you just practice this all the time and you just are just more natural with it. But for the most part, those ones below this will not work. So when I'm not in the zone, this is my bread and butter, is direct. I go direct because I don't want there being any question about why I'm talking to her. I don't think I'm asking for directions and then I wasn't finessey enough. I didn't have the right masculine energy to attract her. No, fuck no. So instead, I go direct. So that way I don't make any excuses. This one I actually hate. I really hate this one, but I'm not gonna lie, it does work. But you guys probably felt this before, where you guys are approaching a girl and this guy sees that, oh my, wait, she can be approached? Oh my God, I can talk to her? And she looks at you and she looks at the girl and he says, I'm gonna save her. I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna save her because because I'm better than he is. But really what's going on is that he was too much of a bitch to say hi to her, and he sees you go say hi. He's like, that guy's an asshole. I'm better. And he comes in and he takes the girl. When in all actuality, he's the fucking asshole. I hate this one. I had to save so many clients from guys that do this shit, and I have to go and tool these guys all the fucking time. They're the biggest fucking losers. They have no balls. But again, it works. If the guy that he approaches with this flinches or starts acting bitchy, then it makes him look like a boss to the girl. So then the girl peels off of him and goes to the other guy, which is why I have to jump into this all the time to save my clients from this stupid approach. If this does happen to you guys, start pushing her onto the guy. And I mean like this. Start telling her, yeah, look, this guy's a nice jawline. Like, start pushing him. Start trying to actually bait him to qualify. And if you start pushing him, I call it the Don't Make Fetch Happen from the Mean Girls, you know the show, Regina, Don't Make Fetch Happen. When you try to make fetch happen, the girls start pushing away because she doesn't want to, because she also senses the lack of freedom. Do it in a self-amused way. Push them. It'll actually get rid of this approach, but I'll say this. If you didn't know the strategy, it's pretty deadly, to be fair, even though I freaking hate it because all the fucking biggest losers in the world do it. Indirect Direct. Now, this is actually the strategy I've been talking about. So all the ones below, in B class and below, other than the D class, Indirect Direct is among the best. And all these ones below direct, you have to do them with the indirect direct approach. So you have to merge it. Hey, have you ever fallen madly in love with a guy? And now I'm putting off the masculine energy, the tension, the pauses. I like the tension. I'm holding eye contact. I'm putting in a cocky energy into it. I believe in myself. And so because I believe in myself, I can say the situational, the observational, the opinion, and I can make it work. But again, that's why they're in the BC class, because they're without this energy, they don't work like that. You can't just, you guys are very logical. Game is not logical. Yes, there is an aspect to it. So there's emotional attraction and logical attraction. You guys are trying to play logical attraction, which is what every guy is doing. Every guy's doing it, almost every guy. You know who's not doing it? Naturals. Naturals do an emotional game, which is why they get laid. Get this. Logical is when a girl says, this guy matches the guys that I messed around with in my past. He fits my parameters, the guy that I want to go for. Because I've messed around with guys that look like this in the past, so that must mean that my ego aligns with this guy. That means the action follows the ego. So she goes and fucks the guy. Now, let's say you're free of alcohol, you're teasing her, you're messing around with her, you're just having fun and you're just cocky. That's emotional game. That's the id. The logical one is the ego. The ego is the person that she developed. The id is her deep biological reptilian brain. It's the amygdala. Now, because of this thing in her, she on a deep level is attracted to you. Yes, you do have to balance out the logical. You can't just force her to go through ego death by dissing on her or something of the kind, unless you put it with an undertone of being playful and fun and free and not making her the butt of the joke necessarily, making it more of a quid quo pro. But in this case, emotional game. You want to hit the id, not the ego. Branch swinging, which is something that me and my friends are now working on ourselves a lot. This is actually originally a Julian tactic and a Julian Blanc RSD, and I love it. It works so well. It's pre-selection. It's pocket pre-selection. You don't have to have a social circle to make this work. You just have to have girls in an area. You talk to one cute girl. You see another one. You say, hey, 1 sec. I'm gonna go talk to a friend. Peel off, go talk to the other girl. And now because the other girl saw you approach with the other girl, you make it look from the outside in, it looks great, and now you start even pulling girls in, make them fight over you, and you start creating this pre-selection game, and you start bouncing around, moving them. It's a very effective strategy. It's using pre-selection is like by far one of the most powerful triggers when it comes to attracting a girl. If she sees you with other girls, it hits. Again though, ego. If the girl does not, it's like, I don't mess around with players. So you have to be free of outcome with this to a good extent, and be playful and be jokey, not be serious. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll act like I don't notice. I'll act like I don't notice that all the girls are flirting with me, and I'll just play like the dumb jock game where I'm like, I can't read social cues when I know exactly what's going on. But because I act that way, the girl's like, wait, he's just this handsome, helpless guy that all these girls are just trying to fuck him, but they're all bad for him, and he keeps getting hurt, and I'll be the one to save him. Have you heard this? You know why? Because you said it. Because I said it. And I make it feel that way too. And so that's why I pull it out of my ass. It works really well. If you guys want to know how to approach, that's a dope strategy. Approaching and all this, everybody wants to fixate on the approaching the lines, the opening line. It's the opening, you can't open line your way into a girl's bed. Again, it comes down to mannerisms, the ego, the person you believe you are, and believing of your status, and acting like you're of status, moving like you're of status, speaking like you're of status. It's not about the opener, it's about you. It's about your mentality, it's about your self-belief. Do you believe in yourself, or do you not? Are you a bad motherfucker, or are you not? Can you look at the girl in the eyes and say, I'm the shit? I'm the man? Are you a man? Can you call yourself a man, or does it sound weird? Are you a boy? Are you, can a girl, when you approach a girl, is the energy given off that of a guy that a girl can call daddy in bed? Where she just melts into your arms, where she's the one that feels like she can chase you because you're so high status and you're worth chasing. Are you a guy that has girls? Are you guys options? Do you have all these options? And of all these options, you chose her? So that's the answer. Of course she's gonna be into you. With that being said, peace.